Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 296 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode's brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. The Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association is all about supporting and connecting local artists, musicians, and creators right here in north central Iowa. Head over to fdfineartsassociation.org to find their community calendar packed with upcoming concerts, art shows, theater events, and more. While you're there, check out their podcast, FDT. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. That's the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association, celebrating creativity and community in the Fort Dodge area. This week, I'm going to do a solo episode. I've been asked this question a few times. I'm not always sure the best way to answer it, but why do you XYZ? Why do you play music? Why do you podcast? Why have you made videos and put them online? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to try and kind of go through some of this stuff, be a little introspective, and we'll see if anybody's kind of thoughts about this, align with mine. We're going to tackle the big one first. Why do I play music? Think about it while I'm playing the intro music. Why do you play music?
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
This wasn't always an easy thing for me to sit and think about. You have to sit down and be comfortable, kind of really thinking honestly about why you're doing something. Why do I play music? I'm probably sure that over time, the reason I have played music, it has changed. Probably when I was younger, I wanted to play music because I just wanted to be like all the guys I see on MTV or, whatever, the typical kid stuff, I want to be cool, hold a guitar. I want to look like, that guy or whatever. Maybe that wasn't sustainable, and understandably so. I didn't play for, too much longer after I was a teenager. All my friends kind of moved away. I didn't really have a reason to play anymore. It kind of sounds crazy. I watched a video recently and they were talking about what is boredom and what causes it and how we feel about it and ways to escape it, etc. And I think it might have spurred this episode of the podcast. But generally speaking, in my 20s, I found myself with a lot of free time and I didn't really know what to do. I had poured a lot of my identity into a something and it just didn't work out and I didn't know what to do. You got to change a job. You always had the same job. Everything kind of just turned out to be this turning point in my life. I had to figure out what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I really kind of took stock of a lot of these things. I really wanted to think about, where I was at in my life and what I wanted to do. So I kind of started playing the guitar. I had one sitting around. I kind of knew how to play it anyways. I didn't really fully I understand music theory to an extent. I can play a couple other instruments ish, but I wasn't really any good at any of it. I was kind of almost good at all of those things. So it took a lot of my capacity to really sit down and be okay with not being good at this and trying to figure it out. And there's ways to get better. I mean, you can take lessons, but I don't really live in a vast metropolis where there's piles of people around just itching to give you their knowledge. Yes, there are places I probably could have gone and gotten some lessons, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe not. The internet exists. Why not try that route? Sit down, figure it out. I tried to pull all this old knowledge I had out of certain things. It's I remember playing a trumpet and we'd play it like this, and this would be our scale. So those are majors, that's major. And then you start to figure out, a couple things, and then you start to write down the intervals, and I remember all these intervals, and then, this is kind of how modes work to an extent. I don't know. It took a long time to figure all this stuff out and put all the pieces together to be able to just be this is how you play a guitar. And it took a lot. I think some of it was just adapting to a new instrument. There wasn't a terribly large amount of people around me that played the guitar, so I didn't really know who to turn to ask how do I actually play this, or how are you playing it, or why? That's always one of the big questions. Why does this work out? I mean, it's kind of the episode. Why do I play music? I think it just the challenge of it all. That was something that really kind of gave me something I really wanted to do. I just really wanted to try it and just see if I could do it other people could do it. I figured it's not so mythical if someone else can do it. I mean, granted, maybe I won't be able to do it as well as them, but I should still be able to at least, do this in some capacity. In another capacity, maybe it was just something to do. It gave me something to do in a time where I didn't have a whole lot of stuff to do. I sat around alone like a lot anyways, kind of just, I don't know, watching TV, just doing like the things that now I feel like when I do those types of things now when I'm relaxing, I relax so much harder because I'm not always afforded free time. And when I have free time, I will like watch TV and not even like be on my phone because I'm just like, done. Like I'm not even, I see it beeped, but I'm not even going to go look at it, So there are times where I kind of run into that aspect a little bit. It kind of helped me focus on relaxing a little bit better. It's like one of those weird things. But just having something to do, especially at a time where you have nothing to do, that was huge. Like it was this cure for boredom. Listlessness, just kind of sitting around, not really having a whole lot of direction. It was kind of like a weird thing. I was changing basically everything in my life. I went back to school, started learning how to play guitar, just all these things that I feel like I'd skipped or missed. I took stock of those things and sat down and was like, these are the things I'm going to go back and try and do now and try and actually figure it out. So having something to do in a time where I didn't really have a whole lot to do, it gave me a lot of purpose and a lot, a sense of, just general overall community that I didn't have to some aspect. Yes, I was playing alone for the most part, but I had like one friend that was kind of like at the same time, they were doing the same thing. They're like, oh, I'm figuring out how to play. I figured out some of these things. Maybe you can figure out some of those things and we can just teach each other. All right, sounds good. So we started kind of like learning and spitballing ideas off of each other. And it added to the fun that I was having, which was something new. This is going to sound so crazy to people that don't play music, but I feel like as I've lived both of these lives, this is going to sound wild, but like I was able to play the guitar, but not really know what I was playing or why I was playing it. I just knew that like if I play it exactly like this in this pattern, it makes this song. And I was very good at that. I had like many songs memorized and I could just do a whole lot of stuff, but I didn't know why I was doing it. So it would be the equivalent of like knowing full sentences in a language and you say it to somebody and they think, wow, this person can speak such a fluent sentence. And then you respond to them and they have no clue what you're saying because they didn't actually learn anything. They just learned a full sentence. And so I feel like that's kind of what it is. It's one of those types of analogies. I could kind of speak the language, but not really with any detail or like in any capacity other than the fact that I could just say some things, and that wasn't really beneficial to me. So that was where this mindset I had kind of came in. I was like, if I can figure out how to actually like just goo goo gaga and talk through this, I can figure my way out and just kind of add something to something. And me and my buddy were just figuring that out with each other. It's like, oh, if I play the guitar like this and then you can play this, let's do like a 12-bar blues thing and you can play, then I can play, and we can just practice soloing and we can just never, ever stop playing guitar. And then you start to figure out looper pedals exist and you can do this yourself, and then backing tracks are a thing and you can figure out how to jam. And then before you know it, you end up with this place where it's like, I can go to a jam night. I can go somewhere that's outside of my comfort zone. I can go play guitar for somebody other than just me and my buddy and the basement that nobody else is in, instead of just keeping this hidden away and having fun. This is my video games or whatever it is. This is my whatever the kids are all doing the day. At the time, that's what I was doing. And this is like, why don't you go out and play this in front of people? And it's like, what? No. I don't want to go do that. Like, that's why the first band I joined was 2 hours away. It's like, yeah, I'll drive over there and play music. Nobody over there knows me. So even if it sucks, I can just get in my car and drive home. If I mess up and everyone wants to make fun of me, I'm 2 hours away. Good luck. You come over here and make fun of me and see if it matters. So I think it was this weird thing where it's like, I have to escape my comfort zone. I have to do these things. So I've already like spent the painful thing of like, oh, I got to pick this thing up and actually learn how to play it. I actually got to, sit with the uncomfortability of figuring this out. And I did. You're not good at first, and then eventually you are passable enough to be around other people. And I think that's some of the capacity where it's like, I believe it's a Victor Wooten analogy that he probably took from somewhere else, but it's like speaking a language. I can now speak the language passably enough where I can go out into public and ask somebody a question and kind of mumble my way, to find a destination or to get a thing or to say thank you and please and everything correctly the way that you're supposed to actually say it in a language. That's what I can kind of do with music. And it was outside of my comfort zone to be like, well, let's go to the land of music where everybody's music, they speak it fluently, and let's see what you can actually do when you're out there outside of your comfort zone on stage with somebody else doing this thing. And it was kind of scary, going to your first jam night or playing your first songs or whatever with a buddy or at a gig or whatever it is, just filling in. It's super nerve-wracking. You don't really know if you're gonna fit in. You can do the thing, but it's like, this is also like kind of my personality. Does my personality mesh with this person's personality musically? That is, you could mesh personality-wise, really well, and then musically not necessarily. So it's one of those things where it kind of just depends, and it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking to go up there to jam night and play with 2, 3, 4 guys you've never played with, songs you've never played. Somebody just says it's in this key, and you have to be fluent enough in this language to be like, okay, key of C, and then you're like, it's C, so it's major, so it's this, and this is the relative minor, and then you got to kind of think about where everything's shaped, and however you learn how to play the guitar, you have to be able to do that on the fly to some extent. In your basement, you can just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I got to go like this, and you can count the frets out, and just whatever you need to do to be like, this is where I'm at, these are the shapes, or this is the pattern, or this is the root, and I could just go from there. Whatever your thought process is, sometimes it's tough to do that on the spot while people are watching, like right there on stage and things like that. But I've never faulted anyone for trying, so that's one of those weird things where I don't know why anyone would fault me for trying, if that makes any sense. But sometimes I don't feel like we give ourselves the grace we always give other people, and that's an unfortunate thing. I've definitely fallen into that to some extent, to just, I don't know, you don't really just give yourself enough credit sometimes. And I think we're all hard on ourselves, and that's why, some musicians are very good. But I also think there's some musicians that, because they're not hard on themselves, that's why they're good, because they're an open book at all times, even to themselves, just kind of letting it all hang out, it's that comfort zone thing. It just, once you get outside of there, you kind of learn there's new people, there's new personalities, there's new things going on. And, you start to really just kind of appreciate musicians as musicians and human beings, all other things aside, all that other dressing and all that other internet candy stuff that everybody likes to eat that's bad for you, all that junk aside, it's good people. There's going to be some bad people, but that's just life. There's going to be a couple bad ones, but at the same time, it's such good people. It's a community is really what it is. And it's cliche to say it, and I hate saying it. Everyone, yeah, well, it is a community. And I know you guys will agree with me, but every music scene has, it's a scene. There is a community. A lot of people know each other. I'm lucky enough to have spent time in 2 different ones and have gotten to know a few people in each. And, it's really kind of cool to have like these different camps and to go to these different areas and meet the people that these people usually run into, or this band runs into on a consistent basis, or this genre, it's just kind of fun to go from town to town and see just how you're treated differently in different bands, and the amenities are just different for different types of shows and just all that kind of stuff. But that's the community. It's super fun to know that basically there's a lot of parallels, even though there's a lot of differences. There's private shows both places, but a house show for a punk band is a lot different than a backyard show for a country duo. It's just the way it is, but it's that community aspect of just knowing that if I can go down to this town and I know a bunch of people, and I can go out on a random night and find a band, and I probably know somebody that's playing somewhere, and I could walk up to them and say hi. And even though we might not know each other, we might be Facebook friends, or we might have enough people in common where it's like, this is our connection. This is our whatever 7 points of Kevin Bacon or whatever that thing is. But yeah, it's that community aspect. I really enjoy knowing that there's that many musicians out there. I think Nick Earhart was one of the first people to really kind of to like grill it into me, or it's like, yeah, even if you just play a little bit, you can kind of hang out with some of these guys and realize like they're actually pretty cool. You know, you go out to some of the, we were talking like old Patty's Pub jam days, you know, like that era. I remember going to those and he's just like, I'd be standing outside. He'd be like, this is this guy. He's cool. This is this guy. He's pretty cool. That guy over there is awesome. You know, like, cause that's just Nick. Nick's really kind of fun. But at the same time, you start to run into like, oh, everybody here kind of knows each other. And then you start to be like, oh, I hope everybody kind of, you know, learns to know who I am. And then eventually it's just like, well, now you're just part of the scene because you've been here long enough. And that's just kind of how it works out, you know, and as long as you're not abrasive or just genuinely a bad person, you're going to fit in. And all the scenes are mostly good. They mostly help themselves and others. And it's such a good thing to be part of the communities that I've been part of over the last almost 10 years that I've been playing music, which is also such a wild thing to think. So we've gone over some like pretty big reasons why I think I've decided to play music. You know, it's again, it's changed over time. You know, at first I just wanted to do it for something to do. And I mean, you've heard how it's changed. Like, I wanted to play because it was like, it's cool. This is the thing. And then after a while, it's like, I'm not going to play it because that's not sustainable. Then it's like, well, maybe I'll play just because it's something to do. Maybe it's fun. Maybe it's a challenge to get me out of my comfort zone. There's a community there, you know? And I think if you wrap all that up, it cures this boredom that I don't, it's weird because you don't realize how bored you are sometimes until you're not bored anymore. We all just kind of live with this weird lull of boredom where it's like, I'm just going to turn on Netflix and watch it for 6 hours and then it's just over. You know, like I'm sure people are like, what, 6 hours? Whatever. You're probably the one that's on your phones scrolling, looking at Reels or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you know, and if that's not you, then maybe you're just, there's these different holes. Everyone goes down, you know, we all have our different like things that we do that are like, this cures the boredom. This is the thing that is a good thing that I'm going to do. But a lot of times they really don't do anything productive. And there's nothing wrong with having these cures for your boredom, you know, maybe not necessarily be productive. There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But at the same time, like you can't just always eat cake. You know, cake's not always good for you. So maybe mix a little something else into there to kind of help something out. And that's, I think that's what I was looking for, was something other than just cake, you know, at a time where I was eating a lot of cake, and which is maybe okay in your early 20s, but, you know, again, not sustainable. So the point I'm trying to make is I think it helped me out mentally. It was a thing that I didn't really know I needed to sit and stew with something that I was not good at and uncomfortable with, and get out of my comfort zone and try new things and, you know, in some essence, you know, like expose who I was to the world artistically in some capacity, for them to like openly just view it and judge me live and just be like, yes or no, I clap for this or I won't clap for this. It gave me a community that I didn't really know I needed. I'm not best friends with all the musicians, you know, but I'm on good enough terms with almost all of them, and we all kind of respect each other well enough where I feel like a lot of us, if we had a flat tire and we knew that somebody was one town over playing a gig, we could just call them up or get on Facebook and be like, dude, I'm a mile away. Can you just swing over here? A lot of people would be willing to do that because we are, you know, good enough people to each other. And it's that community, that sense of community where I feel like we're all kind of good. We all kind of like each other just a little. I don't know. If not, maybe I've misjudged everyone. Maybe y'all hate me, but I like a lot of you. So deal with it. But yeah, it's that mental help. It gave me a lot of these senses of purpose that I didn't really know that I had or needed. I feel like it's something kind of fun. And, you know, at the same time, while it's helping me, I feel like it helps a lot of other people, you know. At times it helps the people that are listening. Some people go to listen to live music because they need it, you know. Some people rely on that heavily. And that's what we're there for. We're there for entertainment. We're kind of like courtroom jesters at times, but at the same time, we're there for people to enjoy themselves. And I enjoy being useful in that capacity. And other times, like, it sounds weird to say this, but I could be useful to other musicians. So there have been times where I've booked some short-term gigs where it's just like, oh, do you want to play with me tomorrow at this time in this town? And it's like, sure, if you play some easy stuff and when we kind of just muddle our way through it, sure. You know, if it's somebody new or if it's somebody I'm comfortable playing with, it's like, yeah, let's go do that. You know, I don't always know what goes on in a musician's life, or, you know, especially the singer-songwriter variety, because I'm not a singer-songwriter, but these are guys that are booking shows. Sometimes it's just like my Friday night's booked, my Saturday night's booked, my Sunday afternoon's booked. And not only that, but I work 6 days a week, 60 hours, you know, out of state sometimes. It's just like wild stuff sometimes these people are doing. You know, oh, I live in this town and I work an hour away. Like just crazy, crazy stuff. These are the things that I've, you know, discovered. A lot of musicians have these odd scenarios like that because these are the things that work for them. And it's this thought process of, I feel like if they left that scenario where everyone knows this and is comfortable with it, that might not be the same scenario where they go. So they're going to stick it out. And, you know, maybe these people are exhausted. Maybe they have, you know, a family, you know, maybe they have other things going on that, you know, are also taking up time, and they just need me to come in and help fill in some time. And I feel like that is also a help to other people, you know. So it's good to feel useful, and it's good to help people. And I feel like if I am helping, I'm very happy. But that's another reason that I feel like I play music. And you know, one of the things when I was thinking I need to help people play music, you know, while I'm playing music, I was like, well, I'm technologically savvy enough. The cost to do one is minimal. You know, you could spend a lot of money and make it really fancy and do a good one, but why don't I try doing a podcast? I could really just like pull people in, sit down and talk to people. I play enough shows with enough bands all over the place. I feel like I run into enough people that I can, you know, fill up enough time to do a podcast. And obviously, you know, you have these lofty goals. I'm going to do it, you know, every week, and there's going to be a new person every week, and I'm never going to duplicate anything, and I'm never doing sponsorships, and it's going to be super easy, and I'm just going to do it like this. And, you know, things change over time. Your goals change, and it's like, well, maybe I'm not doing merch. It doesn't matter. And then it's like, well, maybe I will do merch. And then it's like, well, I'm not doing, you know, a website. Well, maybe I will do a website, you know. And then it's like, I'm not getting that social media. Well, maybe I will, you know. And eventually, before you know it, you're full-fledged, like, running a podcast operation, you know. And yeah, I did duplicate some guests, and sometimes I did some replay episodes, but I severely underestimated. I thought this was just going to be easy, and it's not. To do it, I don't even do my own podcast like what I would say all of the steps to make a podcast successful over time. Time plus this recipe equals success almost every single time. You just have to create a community, and that's all it comes down to. But like, I don't even do a lot of that with my own podcast. But I was just thinking to myself, yeah, I'll start a podcast. I'll talk about my music. I'll talk about other people's music. I'll talk about the things I do. It'll be good promotion. It'll be good, you know, for them, for me, for the things I'm doing, for my podcast. It gives me an outlet to sit down and talk to people that I might not like normally get to talk to. It kind of like reinforced a lot of the things I was doing up above. I want to help people. Okay, podcast. I want to get out of my comfort zone. Okay, podcast. I need it, you know, it strengthened my community with some of these people. And in essence, like my hope was to strengthen the community within all of the musicians. It's like, oh, if you don't know this person, you can listen to their podcast episode, kind of get to know them. And hopefully we covered enough topics that you can be like, oh, I like this and they like this. Next time I see them, I'm actually just going to walk up to them and be like, hey, listen to your podcast episode. I heard you like this. Blam, conversation starter, easy in, where, you know, sometimes maybe we're not always as social as we could be, so you don't really know everything about everyone. So, you know, it just helped kind of reinforce all this stuff from up above. One of the notes I wrote down is exactly the same as up above. It gave me something to do, you know. I started the podcast. It was weird because at this time I had figured like, okay, I'm going back to school. I have a part-time job. I'm in, you know, at this time I was probably in like 2 or 3 bands, you know, playing shows every weekend, roughly, whatever, just kind of like guesstimating exactly. But, you know, I'm doing, let's say 20 or 30 shows a year, maybe more or less. I don't know. Just trying to figure out exactly like what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. I had enough time on my hands to do this. And again, I'm thinking this is easy. At the time, it was audio only. Everything was very, very simple. I wasn't even going to put it on YouTube at the time. I was just going to be like podcast only. That's it. That's all you're getting. But eventually I was like, well, let's change that. Let's do video, but I'm going to do the video only for Patreon members, and then eventually it was just like, well, let's just put the freaking video out there for free. I don't care. Cause you have to have video with podcasts now cause everybody's doing it. But what started out as just something to do, maybe to take an hour, to record and an hour to like edit and upload and, social media junk, turned into something that's now like multiple hours. And it's a little bit less, I don't want to say less fun, but it's become a bit of a chore knowing that I do this professionally. And this is like something I've found like recipes that just tend to work if you add time to them. It's just kind of weird knowing that I'm like kind of cutting some corners with my own podcast. And it does make me feel a little bad because I'm not really doing the best by everyone out there. Case in point, we're 20 minutes into a solo episode, and these I don't always do the best. So if you're sitting here listening to this, I really do appreciate it. But again, this just reinforced that community. It reinforced something for musicians to gravitate towards. It was something, hey, you want to come on here? You can talk about basically anything as long as it's not going to just like hyper fixate on upsetting people. I'm not going to go down the politics rabbit hole, and we're not going to just sit here and be like, this guy sucks, that guy sucks, that guy sucks, because that's though that makes good clips and that does make for good viral junk, that's not really what I'm after here. So I want to help people. I want to give people the ability to promote themselves at little to no cost, other than their time for the most part. And that's maybe they had to drive here, and we can do it remotely, whatever. But having that outlet was, important for a lot of these musicians. There were so many cool musicians and bands I ran into that I figured somebody else had to listen to this. It got to the point where I was listening to bands that were local, and I would just be like, hey, you kind of like this music, check this out. And they're like, well, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's these guys. They're out of Ottumwa, which they would never know this because they don't go down to like certain scenes, but it's just one of those things where like, yeah, it just needed to give people an outlet. And I feel like this was just a way to do it. And it was a way to kind of help. And again, I just kind of like wanted to help, and that kind of helped myself and helped other people. I also ended up doing like some video and audio productions for other people in some capacities. Made music videos, recorded bands live, did like some simple live recordings and things like that. Ran sound in a couple small capacities here and there. Again, just a random new challenge, something fun to do, something fun to try. And I feel like that's it kind of just goes hand in hand with both of the other items. Like, why do I play music? Why do I podcast? Why would I do any of this video and audio junk? And it's just like, I just feel like it helps. This is something that I kind of know how to do, and I'm more than willing to do for other people. And this has ended up becoming a job for me. And, it's just, I feel like this is going to come down to like maybe what I'm going to try to like tie all this together with. I feel like everybody needs a purpose. We all need purpose in life. And having some sort of purpose, I feel like cures boredom or makes it more tolerable or understandable. Because there's times where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And I got 40 things to do that I should be doing, but I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm bored, and I'm so bored I don't even want to do something. And there's different terms for that as well in different languages where it's not just like called boredom. They're just like, this is like this uneasy feeling of unrest, knowing you have something to do and you're not going to do it anyways. Like there's like, that's how they describe some of this. And I feel like having a purpose and a vision to achieve the purpose, that's literally all you need. And it sounds so hokey and like, oh, you need goals and you need to, but you just kind of need to know. You need to try something and you need to like do it. And that worked for me. It was not something that I really realized I was doing until, you start to take a break from some of those things. I want more free time. Well, guess what? More free time ended up with more moments sitting there, listlessly thinking about nonsense, which I'm not trying to say like, you shouldn't ever relax. Again, I feel like I appreciate relaxing more now than I ever did. But again, I'm probably a little bit busier now than I have been in the past. Either way, I feel like that general sense of purpose is really something that has helped me understand why I'm doing a lot of what I'm doing. Maybe it's coming. What else would I do? What else would I rather be doing? What else would you rather do on a Saturday than play some music with your buddy? I guess I don't know. I don't know. I mean, sure, like it'd be great to just sit around, eating cookies or whatever all day long. But at the same time, I don't know. There's just something fun about going out there playing with your buddies. It's I don't know, is cathartic, is that the right word? It feels like so healing. It's that mental escape that you just need sometimes. Sometimes I'm playing music and I'm just out in another world, and and I'm just not even thinking about it, and it's just happening, and that's so truly being in the moment that you're almost completely out of the moment. It's so wild to describe that. Or like, sometimes there's times where like you and a couple buddies can be up there playing music, and maybe people aren't paying as much attention to you because you're not the focal point of the evening. There's other stuff going on that people are doing. There's people walking around silent auction. There's food, whatever it happens to be. You're just there for background noise, and you can kind of giggle and have these little inside jokes that not everybody gets to have. And it's just kind of fun to have those moments. And that sense of purpose. It comes down to a couple things here, I think. Purpose is the obvious thing that I feel like everybody needs to have, and we all need to like really kind of work towards, utilizing, like really taking that internal stock of like, why are we doing things? And I think this was important for me to do this episode. I didn't really like plan on this. This was just something that just kind of came out as I was writing down notes one day. So having purpose. Am I the best musician? No. Am I the best video audio guy, person, artist? No. Am I the best podcaster? No. But I will say one of my favorite sayings is you just have to be consistently consistent. I wrote down this saying, and I know there's a million of them out there that sound like this. If you're doing something consistently, that's better than being great at something and doing nothing at all. I believe Raleigh Jensen made a comment on something somewhere. It was just on one of the Audible Farm pages, maybe on a YouTube video, but it was something to this effect as well. And it was basically like, if you can show up and be consistent and be reliable as a musician, you will probably get further than some people around you that might have more talent than you. Not always. It's not always the case, but knowing you're a reliable person goes a long way in a lot of circles. And I think that's very true. If somebody knows you're going to show up and you're going to consistently output this quantifiable measure of awesomeness every single time, even if someone's just like, I don't need somebody that's 10 out of 10 half the time and 5 out of 10 the other half the time. I want someone that's 7.5 the whole way. Cool. That's when you go looking for, people that fit into this description that I'm looking for. You got to do something consistent. I came into this saying, you have to be consistently consistent. That is something I have been preaching, not too long, but it's been something that's become like maybe my mantra at my job. Like that has become my unknowingly that this year became my thing. You have to be consistently consistent. Yes, you can be consistent in spurts, but you have to be consistent all the time, every time. You have to be there when you say you're going to be there. Otherwise, just don't say you're going to be there. And that's that comes down to just having that consistency. So one of the last ones I heard not terribly long ago is action cures the fear. And, that's something a lot of this is, when you're bored, you're just sitting there, you're like, I have all this stuff to do and I don't really want to do it, but I have to do it. And that's kind of what's causing all this boredom. And I'm just death scrolling or doom scrolling through all your junk and just, I don't know what to do. I'm so bored. And one more episode of Seinfeld, please. One more episode of Seinfeld. So if you actually just go out and do one little thing, even just one tiny thing. I feel like this is something I figured out and I didn't know I had it figured out back then, 10 years ago doing this. Why am I doing this? It's something to do. What do I have here? It's something to do. Well, what are the notes here? It's a new challenge. I have another one here that I didn't get into. Why did I learn how to repair guitars? It's something new to learn. I guess I really didn't realize that was, the purpose I had kind of carved out for myself was taking these little actionable steps to kind of fill up the gaps of boredom. So I didn't just sit there and like dread about doing things while just looking on, watching Seinfeld or YouTube scrolling or whatever. So having these little action points kind of cure that fear of boredom and listlessness that, might be slowly creeping in. This might be preaching to the converted already. Maybe some of you are out there like, well, this doesn't help me. I already play music, or I'm already a podcaster, whatever, but maybe just lean into it. Maybe this is your thing. I ended up picking up all these little side hobbies and to an extent a couple times like side jobs just from playing music and going through podcasting and doing video and audio projects for people. And ultimately, the note I had here that I didn't cross, but like doing guitar repair, same thing. It's just one of those things, just kind of learning some stuff, kind of just helps out, helps me. Maybe it helps you. Maybe some people are just like, this guy's lunatic. I just want to sit and watch Seinfeld and that's it. So I don't know what he's talking about. But, going back through some of these old episodes, with, let's say, the one with Mick was really good. Same kind of mindset. Justin Kramer, same kind of mindset. Funny story. Those two actually know each other. So go back and listen to those. If you made it this far into this episode, you absolutely owe it to yourself to go back and listen to those two episodes. Those are two guys that I feel are similar-minded and somewhat similar-minded to me, maybe a little bit more actionable than me, which is one of those things that I think I really enjoy. So, this is basically going to come down to this. Find your purpose. Why are you doing things? Is this really? Why are you playing music? I don't know. Why do you play music? Just answer that in the comments section. That'll be good enough for me for this week. Let's hit the outro, everybody. All right. Okay. So we're at the outro. I like to play music. I like to podcast. Yes, sometimes it feels a little bit like work, and sometimes less or more than others. But I'll tell you what, I'm not sure what else I would rather be doing. You guys want to check out all the music stuff I've done over the years? You can check out Three Finger Betty, Jesse Wilson music, Clint Riedel music. I played a lot of shows with him over the years. I might have a show upcoming with him here not too long. Check out their social medias for all their upcoming shows. Go check them out live, whether or not they're doing, Jesse and Clint, whether they're doing solo, duo stuff with me, without me. It doesn't matter. They're two fun guys to go watch play. Two very different styles of music. Three Finger Betty, punk music. You like that kind of stuff, you'll really kind of dig it, especially some of the older punk. So if you're someone my age or older and you like punk music, this is right up your alley. It's definitely going to be something you're interested in. Otherwise, yeah, I've moonlit with a couple other bands over time, but those are the big three. Those are the big three I've played most of my shows with, and most of the big shows I've ever played with. So hats off to those guys for letting me join them on this musical career, because without this, we wouldn't have had 296 episodes of this freaking podcast, and I would not have been able to play as many shows as I've played. So I'm really happy to have had something to do for the last 10 years. So thank you guys very much. audiblefarm.com for basically everything podcast, at Audible Farm everywhere. I don't know, you probably saw it popping up in the corners here. So Audible Farm, at Audible Farm everywhere. That's it. All right, cool. Peace.